Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Once again, it's your program playing on your TV, Health Check, a program where we give you medical advice, a program that is here to make sure that you live a healthy life. For you to have a healthy life, or what is a healthy life, is a one which is free from all sorts of ailments, be it physical or mental. And today we are here to discuss mental ailments, specifically schizophrenia. And with me in the studio is Dr. Baker Akaturinda. You're most welcome once again. First and foremost, Dr. Baker.
Yes, sir.
Schizophrenia is the topic of discussion today.
Yeah.
A mental ailment that I came to know about, that almost 90%, if not 100, of the people have it, but at a lower rate. You're going to discuss, so explain to us which rate is very risky, which rate is normal, and what have you. First and foremost, what is schizophrenia?
Once again, thank you, Mr. Moderator. I'm once again delighted to be here, to discuss with our people. You know, we have to discuss these conditions because they are common.
Yes.
They're affecting our people everywhere almost. Schizophrenia, like you said, we are discussing a mental illness, and it is a chronic and severe mental disorder, which affects the way a person thinks, that's the brain, acts, the actions, expresses emotions, then it perceives reality and relates to others. So a person's thinking is affected, a person's expression of emotions is affected, and the way the person acts is affected. Again, the way the person perceives reality and relates to others is affected by this disease of the mental state.
Thanks a lot. That is schizophrenia for you. That's the little doctor can tell you about schizophrenia in as far as defining it is concerned.
Yes.
It seems that this ailment is so risky to the extent that getting cured is another problem. Dr.
Yes.
Baker Katurinda, what could be the causes of this ailment?
Yes, first and foremost, the exact cause is not known.
Sure.
Yeah, we cannot say it's caused by a virus. Like you explain other non-mental diseases. When you talk about malaria, you can say malaria is caused by Plasmodium falciparum, a certain bacteria that comes like this and this through a mosquito. When you talk about typhoid, you can say this bacteria or this. But now this mental disease, this mental illness, the exact cause is not known. However, we base on the risk factors which can easily predispose a person to getting this disease. And among them, number one is brain chemistry.
Okay.
If there is a challenge in the brain, like the makeup of the brain cells is disturbed, a person can easily have this disease. Remember, we talked and said it affects the way a person thinks, the way a person acts. As you are aware, our brain is the control tower of the whole of us. Even before you breathe, even before you think, even before you walk, standing, the control tower is the brain.
Yes.
Now, if the brain cells are tampered with, then definitely you will act differently, you will think differently, you will behave differently. So that is also one of the risk factors which predisposes a person to this mental illness. Another issue is about hereditary. These conditions, they move in families.
Okay.
It is most likely that if a certain family, a certain man has the disease, the mental illness, in his children or grandchildren, but in his lineage, there is a most likelihood that one will get them.
So this, in one or the other, it's genetical.
Genetical, yes, genetical. Then there is another risk factor you cannot underestimate, the risk factor of environment. Especially when a person is exposed to highly stressful situations. I will give an example of the commonest one, the Rwandan genocide.
Okay.
Imagine a kid is young and sees his or her mother being slaughtered. Alive. Young as the kid may be. It destabilizes the kid's emotional and the brain status. And from that time, the person will have the thinking which is different. First, the person will hate life. Two, will hate the world. So later it can continue developing and lead into schizophrenia.
Okay.
You have heard about these people who go and have marijuana. Now, marijuana, it affects the person's brain. And this is a very serious matter. It is said that most of the cases are caused by this toxin, marijuana.
Okay.
So a person who gets exposed to marijuana and keeps taking it, and other narcotics, I just said marijuana, but there are others.
Yes.
Others are called injaga in local language,
Yes.
a lot of those drugs. So they affect the brain.
Okay.
People take and they say, I feel strong, I feel strong. So it alters their brains, and they have false strength. They feel they are strong, they feel they are above the world. Then later it continues and damages the brain. They feel high, yes. We call it in medical, they feel hyper. So continuous use of those weeds.
Actually, let's say improper use.
Exactly, improper use.
Yes.
Later, it can lead the person to the damage of the brain.
Because I think these are the same ingredients used in drugs that we use.
But the amounts differ.
See, that's why I say improper.
Yes,
Okay.
sure, improper, yes,
Improper
improper use. And actually improper and continuous use.
Yes, okay.
It is serious. And it's, whereas we say the hereditary and brain chemistry, but a serious issue is on these drugs, abuse of drugs.
Okay.
Most youth are getting this schizophrenia because of abuse of drugs. And it's a serious matter that if we don't address it and sensitize our community, it will lead to schizophrenic cases, many of them in the future. You have heard that in most in the developed countries, most of their hospitals are now psychological hospitals.
Sure.
Most of them have gone past the malaria, the typhoid, the cholera.
That's no longer a problem.
No longer a problem because their water is clean, they no longer have mosquitoes, what. But now the stressing factors and these drugs, because they are abused, there are some countries where they don't have regulations for the drugs.
Yes,
so the youth are going into these drugs and later they develop schizophrenia. Cases of mental are many in those countries than here. Now, for us, the challenge is we have both the mental cases and the non-mental cases. So our challenge here is on those drugs because they cause a lot of these schizophrenic cases. I can talk about abnormality in the brain, like shrinkage of the brain cells. Like I said, we don't know the cause.
Yes.
If the brain has an issue, it can cause. How can it come? You can see a person changing, and you check doesn't take the drugs. In the family history, there's no hereditary history of this. Then you can take for a mental checkup, and they check the brain. They find, oh, there's an abnormality in the brain, cause unknown.
Okay.
So if it so happens that it is the cause, then it is rectified. The brain is rectified, and the person gets back to normal. But most of the cases, like I said, these drugs, misuse of drugs.
Okay, doctor, it seems that this illness, a mental one, is quite complicated.
Yeah.
This is the time we need to know the complications that come with it.
Thank you. Once again, like you said in your introduction,
Yes.
health is about a state of well-being, both in the physical and in the mental.
Yes.
Like I always say, when you have malaria, you can have liver damage.
Okay.
But now this case here, this is a mental illness. So you have a challenge, a complication in your mental functioning. The complications come along with your daily living. One of the serious complications is lack of concentration.
Okay.
A person will not concentrate at work or the job. They will just be there. One, remember we say they have a challenge, a damage in thinking. And all work that we do, all the work that you do requires thinking. So if the thinking is altered, definitely the worker won't be productive. You tell a person to come onto this show, and he will go to the street and stand, you know. You tell a person, find me at home, person will go in the toilet. Because the brain tells him the home is in the toilet.
Is in the toilet.
You know, you tell him to go and dig, he goes to the well to fetch water, because the brain tells him they dig from the well.
I one time found a gentleman on the streets of Kampala shouting to they are called the Okada men, border guys, I mean bike riders,
Yes.
honing and hooting. Why are you hooting in my bedroom?
Exactly.
You see?
So for that gentleman, he thought he's in the bedroom. And to him, he's in the bedroom.
He was wondering how these people came into how did they access his bedroom?
And making noise for him,
Making
you know?
noise as he's resting.
Exactly. So these actually to him, these are the mad ones, these are the crazy ones.
Exactly.
Because to him, he's in his bedroom and they're making noise for him. So it's a serious complication because, like we said, the perception of reality. Ideally, in reality, he's on the street, right? But for him, he perceives the street as his bedroom. So that brings a complication. Another issue is the lack of energy.
Okay.
Because, like we said, concentration is not there, and also energy to do work is not there. Like I told you, the brain is the control tower of whatever we do.
Yeah.
So when you tell the person to go and dig, maybe, the brain will not release the energy to hold the hoe and begin digging. The brain will refuse. The brain will assume the person is sleeping, and the person will be like there without energy. So it's a serious complication that a person loses energy. I also cannot forget to talk about difficulty in social situations. This is serious where, for example, you go for a burial and people are crying, but for you, you see a wedding. And that's a serious matter.
Okay.
So the social capabilities are destabilized because the realities will not be perceived as they are. You go for a person, the mental person goes for a wedding, he cries, he sees a burial, cries. Goes for a burial, he sees a wedding, begins clapping hands and smiling. You know? Goes to school, and for him he thinks he or she is in a mosque, begins, praying. Goes in a mosque, begins writing some things as if he's in a classroom. So that loss of touch with reality brings a serious complication of social challenge. I can't also forget to talk about lack of motivation. Because this person has no touch to the reality, even if you give him a lot of money to say, do for me this work, he will not think about it. The motivation won't be realized. Well, if you give him, say, 100,000, he will think that is only 1,000 shillings. So the motivation is not there or is reduced. And it becomes a serious challenge that this person does not perceive what's going on. He perceives the things in his own world. He's not having touch to reality. And it becomes a serious matter. So anybody with the challenge of this schizophrenia will definitely have these complications. And it is a serious matter that all of us should look up to. When a person has those social challenges, it is eminent upon us to take him for medical checkup.
Okay, thank you so much, Doctor. The program is getting even more interesting. Since this program is meant for our viewers out there, the advices to them, I would advise them they take note of each and everything that they hear from our medical personnel in the studio. The only difference is that I'm sitting here with you, so I'm lucky. But I think since the world is visual, the world is a global village, you can have a pen, a book, or a notepad and take note of each and everything that the doctor is saying. Sure. This is the very time, since this advice is meant for you, this is the very time that we have to bring you in. We are going to the streets in Kampala to see what our viewers have for us, what questions they have, inshallah, and the doctor will have to answer them. Let's connect to you, our viewer.
My name is MTA Uganda, and my question is, how can a person avoid mental illness before getting into contact with it?
You've heard Mutebe Uganda.
Yes, sir.
Your saying is always prevention is better than cure. So how can one avoid getting into contact with mental illnesses?
Yeah, like I always say, I'll repeat it always, prevention is better than cure, and prevention is cheaper, cure is expensive.
Yes.
One, we must make sure that the society avoids abuse of drugs. I will repeat this. Let us avoid, our viewer, wherever you are, I encourage you, avoid misuse of drugs. These narcotics, these so-called marijuana, these weeds, avoid them. Because you will think you are strong, you will think you are energetic, but it's damaging your brain. Later in life, you develop conditions which you don't know, and among them will be this. It's very serious that we avoid those drugs.
Okay.
Another thing I can talk about is avoiding the conditions, the stressful situations where we can,
Okay.
which lead to this challenge. Because like I said, we can avoid stressful conditions. Let us not continue to push ourselves into stressful conditions. I always mention this in those who are married. If you say a condition is extremely hard, you go to a sheikh, go to a pastor, go to a reverend, go to anybody in society to come and bring you together and counsel you, than keeping stress after stress after stress after stress. Now, when the stress accumulates to a certain level, then this schizophrenia sets in. Because remember we said it's caused by stressful conditions.
Yes.
So excessive stress after stress after stress comes out into this. So we encourage counseling and maintaining environments which are stress-free. Or we say less stressing. I also have another way of preventing this. A general way, we call it early diagnosis and management. Because if you diagnose something early,
So early medical checkups.
yes, exactly. And I always say in Africa, for us, we go to hospital when we are bad off. The kid has schizophrenia in early stages.
Okay.
Maybe the child is taking some marijuana, you know, those narcotics, and begins changing slowly. When you diagnose it early, you take it to hospital, they diagnose early, and we counsel, we treat, we do what? It will be controlled. But if you wait for it first become worse, it will cost you more than you expected. So early diagnosis and treatment is very, very, very paramount.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks a lot, Doctor. Prevention is better than cure. Prevention is cheaper.
Sure.
Cure is very expensive. But now, there comes an incident, there comes a case, a brother, a sister has already contracted this ailment. A brother, sister is found mad already. How can one cope with this ailment?
Yeah, before I answer it, I think I'll maybe put some simple correction.
Yes.
We really don't use mad.
Okay.
But ideally, in the common name, they say person is mad.
Yes.
But for us,
That's the very reason you are here.
Exactly. For us, we say a person has a mental illness. Actually,
mental disorder.
Mental disorder. It's
Okay.
just a disorder. You know, the word mad seems to be very heavy. You say, this one is mad. You are mad. It looks very, very big. But it's a mental disorder which can be managed, which can be controlled. Luckily enough, we really can manage it.
Okay. How does one cope with it?
The simplest way is improving the social interactions. If you have not been going to the mosque every Friday, this time you go. You will pray to God first of all, because you have the touch with your God. Because all of us human beings have a touch with a supreme deity,
Yes.
supreme being.
Yes.
You know, there is somebody who is above all, who controls our lives, who manages our situations.
Yes.
Who created us, first of all, and who will take us when we leave this world. So you should go to the mosque, or if you're a Christian, you go to church, you hear someone, the sheikh will preach something until you touch your heart, you feel relieved, and your stress goes down. So the social interaction is very important. Church, mosque, political affiliation, your social groups, the culture, you go to cultural association, they have those gatherings, you participate, you relieve of the stress, life gets back to normal. So a person can cope up with this by having the social interaction is improved.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks a lot, Doctor. Now this brings me to the treatment. Is this mental disorder or mental illness curable?
Absolutely, yes. But I always can't forget to talk about the stage. If it is in late stages, you may have challenges treating it. But if it is recognized early, in the lower stages, it can surely be managed. We give some treatments. They are called antipsychotics. The examples are chlorpromazine and haloperidol. There are many. But we give those antipsychotics to go and, I'll use a simple term, to go and calm down the brain which was going hyper. Because like an example, if a person is schizophrenia, was caused by the drugs, abuse of drugs,
Okay.
and the person became hyper, the brain became hyper. Now we give these medications to tell the brain, calm down, calm down. Maybe we should discuss about the symptoms,
Okay.
but among them there is of sleep. So now we give some medications, the person is able to sleep.
Okay.
Because you know sleep is important. If you don't sleep, it actually, the disease schizophrenia is increased by lack of sleep. A person keeps awake, thinks a lot, from morning to evening thinking, in the night thinking, no sleep. Now we give some medication and the person rests. In that resting mood, the brain is also reorganizing itself. Now you know why God created day and night. Day for work, night for resting. So among the treatment is rest. As the person rests, the brain is reorganizing and becoming fine. By the time a person wakes up, he's better than the way he slept. Again in the evening, again sleeping. So with those continuous sleeping cycles, well acquired, the brain reorganizes itself and becomes better. So among the treatment, I said medications and also sleep. I also can't forget social therapy, counseling. We have had people who get this disease from the social disappointments. Or me and you, both of us are young. I know. You know what love means.
Yes.
Especially ladies, even men, by the way.
Yes.
The boyfriend chucked her, and she feels completely disappointed to the extent of going to commit suicide.
Yes.
We shall discuss in the symptoms that is also suicidal thoughts.
Okay.
So, in the case such a person has that condition, coming from a disappointment, you sit with her, tell her, Madam, how old are you? I'm 25 years. What happened? You see this man, I loved him, I gave him my heart, my whole heart will belong to him. Now he broke it. You tell him, Madam, no, your heart is yours. It was not broken. You still have it. He had a Prado. Don't worry, you get one with 2 Prados. Then she says, by the way, yes. Now she begins having self-esteem. By the way, why am I killing myself? I think I'll get a better man. I think life is better. I think there is a future. I lost this job, yes, but I think I can get another job. Now that self-esteem and positive thinking, a person says, I'm fine, later becomes fine. So counseling is one of the ways of treating this. Then lastly, rehabilitation. You have heard of rehabilitation centers.
Yes.
That it is common, especially in Africa, where we have had, especially boys who had drug abuse, drug misuse. Person has taken weed and is completely out of, touch with reality. They take him to a certain center, they keep him there, and are going counseling, not now getting access to weed, not getting access to the groups which smoke weed, then later gets rehabilitated. So it is important for rehabilitation. It's good for management.
Thank you so much, Dr. Baker Akaturinda. My dear viewer, just like the other doctors advised us, please don't take the misuse of drugs as something very small. It is very huge, and it is a factor that is going to contribute a lot in as far as damaging your brain is concerned.
Sure.
Time has come to an end, but before I conclude, Doctor, any concluding remarks before I call off the program?
Yeah, dear viewers, number one, avoid those drugs. Avoid misuse of drugs. Number two, participate in social activities. If you're a Muslim, go to the mosque every Friday. If you're a Christian, participate in church activities. If you are a Muganda, participate in Uganda activities. Be in your tribe, be in your cultural grouping, participate, because we are social animals. Avoid self-isolation. Be with people, be with them. You will not have this schizophrenia. Thank you.
Man is a social animal. Avoid isolating yourself from your social beings. This is the end of our program for today. I remain your host, Nambale Bashir. Please, time has called us off today, but lucky enough, we still have more episodes. So till we meet in those episodes, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.